My child, I want to talk to you today about the struggle. Not the battle that is truly yours to fight. Not the battles that demand your daily presence, your faithfulness, or showing up with everything you have. I want to speak of a different struggle. One that drains you completely, while returning almost nothing. The struggle that devours your peace, your energy, and the quiet inner reserves I gave you for living, not for straining against what will never move by your hand. I want to speak with you about this relentless war against what you simply cannot control. And I must tell you this clearly and directly, knowing exactly what it has cost your soul. Stop fighting it. Not because this battle does not matter, not because the outcome is trivial or those you love are unworthy of care, but simply because I have it. Whatever you are straining to control, to fix, to manage, or force into the mold you desire, I have it in my hands. And because I hold it, your struggle is no longer necessary or helpful. It is not the faithful path for you right now. I know how that sounds. I know that when you are locked in a deep, real, and heavy battle, my telling you to stop can feel like a command to throw in the towel, to abandon the love that fuels your struggle and accept a reality that feels completely unacceptable. Let me be clear right from the start. That is not my message. There is a vast difference between surrendering to me and giving up on what truly matters. There is a deep difference between releasing the fight and releasing your deep concern. There is a world of difference between trusting me with what you cannot control and deciding it no longer matters. I'm asking you for that trust, not for apathy. I'm asking you to hand the battle to me, not to stop caring. I'm asking you to release the strain, not the love that inspired it. I'm asking you to trust me with the future, not to stop caring about it. The care remains. The love remains. What I want you to release is the draining, useless effort of forcing by strength what can only be changed by my grace. The obstacle you face is very real. I want to honor that truth before we go any further. Dismissing the weight of your battle is the worst thing I could do, and I will never offer you hollow comfort. The person choosing a path you did not want is a real person, and their choices bring real consequences into your life. That situation refusing to resolve, despite all your hard work, is a real storm with very real stakes. The painful future you are desperately trying to avoid is a real threat that would bring real hurt. I'm not asking you to act like these mountains are just small stones. I'm asking you to bring them to me in their full, heavy reality. Discover what becomes possible when this massive weight is truly resting in my hands instead of being carried by yours. And here is the first and greatest thing that awaits you. Rest. Anyone who spends their days fighting what they cannot control has forgotten how to find true rest. You have been constantly draining the precious energy that warfare demands, and that draining never stops. It is not just there during the active crisis, but constantly humming in the background of your life. It is the silent, heavy strain of carrying an unresolved burden, constantly watching, managing, and trying over and over again. The rest that becomes yours when you release the battle, when you place the weight of the uncontrollable in my hands, is not the quiet of someone who gave up. It is the relief of someone who finally found the right hands for their burden. You will discover that what you could not lift is not impossible to carry. It was just too heavy for you alone. You will feel the deep, breathing relief of releasing it to my embrace, where strength is always sufficient. I am that strength. I hold the very thing you are fighting, not passively, as if I am just looking on from afar. I am actively working, holding it close, doing things with it that your constant struggle was actually making much harder for me to do. Here is the truth about your struggle. It keeps the heavy burden locked in your grip, instead of resting safely in mine. Every single time you tighten your grip on what you want to control, trying to force the specific outcome you desperately desire, every time you exhaust yourself trying to bend what will not break, you close the door to my help. I do not need you to fight for me. I just need you to trust me. I need your hands open. I need your willingness to let me hold it. Type, "I let go and let God," in the comments right now. Do not write it as a cliché, but as a true declaration of what you choose right now. A turn away from fighting and toward trusting. From gripping to releasing. Giving what you cannot control to the hands that already hold the universe. If these words have guided and strengthened you today, please like, subscribe, and share this message. Support our ministry through the link below so others can receive this truth at just the right time. Let us speak of why you have been fighting the uncontrollable. Understanding why you do this is not just a mental exercise. It is the path to real freedom. This desperate struggle does not happen by accident. There is always a deeper root driving it. Hidden fears, heavy beliefs, and old wounds have whispered deep within you that letting go of control is far too dangerous. You believe that leaving the outcome in another's hands, even mine, is a risk too terrifying to take. I want to name those hidden fears honestly, not to shame you or make you feel worse, but because we cannot heal the roots of your actions unless we look at them together. I want to heal what has been driving this pain. The first source is fear. The quiet terror that if you stop fighting, the worst possible thing will happen. You hold a deep belief, perhaps without even knowing it, that your struggle is the only thing stopping total disaster from crashing in. You believe your constant vigilance, your endless straining, and your grasp on what you cannot control is your only protection. You fear that the moment you loosen your grip, the flood you have been holding back will break through. This belief feels rational because in some areas of your life, sustained effort genuinely produces outcomes. The discipline that yields results, the labor that changes circumstances, the persistence that opens doors. And so, your mind applies this same logic to what is mine alone. You think, if I try harder, if I never let up, the outcome will be safe. But what is beyond your reach is a realm where your logic can never apply. Your constant fighting is not what prevents the worst from happening. It is only exhausting you. This attempt to stop what you have no power to prevent. You also fear that letting go of control means you do not care. There is a quiet logic in your heart that whispers the intensity of your endless struggle is the true measure of your love for what you protect. You whisper, if I stop fighting for them, I am proving to myself and to them that they are not worth the struggle. If I let go of this situation, I am abandoning what matters. So your struggle continues, not because it actually works, but to prove your love is real, to show your care is deep and true. The struggle has become the desperate love language of your anxious heart, your primary way of showing that what you cherish is truly precious. But I want to show you a different love language. The trust that surrenders to me what you cannot control is, in itself, a profound act of love, a love far deeper than the struggle, because it cares enough to place what is precious into my hands, the only hands that can truly heal. Instead of endlessly exhausting yourself against a tide, you can never turn. Your third struggle is rooted in your past, when things shattered while you were not in control. Pain broke through, perhaps more than once, in moments when you were not actively fighting to prevent the fall. The lesson you carried away was that you must hold tight, because whenever you let go, everything falls apart. That lesson came from real pain, and it felt like true wisdom. It became the law of your inner life, driving your endless need to watch, to manage, and to stay ahead of every potential disaster. But I want to gently challenge that lesson. Was it truly your lack of control that caused the storm? Or was it simply a hard thing, happening in a broken world where painful things will occur, which even your tightest grip could never have stopped? Blaming yourself for what you could not control is the heaviest burden your anxious heart carries, dooming you to a lifetime of exhausting struggle against winds you can never master, trapped in the illusion that your grip keeps your world from shattering. Your fourth struggle is fearing the unknown. What you cannot control is almost always uncertain, and that silence is deeply terrifying to your fragile heart. The agony of not knowing, of standing in the wide open space where any future might unfold, and the lack of answers creates a deep ache that you desperately try to cure by fighting. You believe that if you can grab the reins, you can end the waiting and force the outcome yourself. Your struggle is just a way to force an ending before it's time. But this struggle never brings peace or clears the fog. It only leaves you weary, because the future does not yield to your pressure. It will unfold when I declare it, and no amount of striving can hasten my timing. Let me speak my truth into these fears. You fear that letting go of control will invite the worst, but I am already in your situation, whether you struggle or rest. My power to move is never dependent on your constant exhaustion. You think fighting means loving, but the love that surrenders to me is the love that truly trusts. And trust is the deepest love you can offer. When things went wrong in your past, I was right there with you. I am working all things for your good, even those broken pieces. You fear the unknown, but I hold the outcome. Your uncertainty is only the shadow born from your own limited view. I see the end, and it is not what your fear predicts. Write in the comments, "He is in control, and I trust him." Let that be your holy declaration, not just a truth you believe, but a reality you choose to live from today. In the very storm where you feel you must rule, let me show you what is truly beyond your hands. For your soul grows most weary when you wage war against things you were never meant to carry. To clearly see what you cannot change is the greatest freedom I can offer you. Part of why your struggle hurts so deeply is that you do not realize you are fighting what cannot be controlled. It masquerades as duty, as love, as the only right response for a heart that cares so deeply about what is at stake. When I tell you that your hands cannot move this mountain, I'm not discounting your deep love, but showing you where your strength is being wasted. First, you must accept that you cannot control the choices of other people. This is the source of your most painful, ongoing struggle. Because the people whose choices you cannot control are the very ones you love most, and the decisions they make produce painful consequences that crash down upon you and those you try to protect. The grown child whose path fills your heart with fear. The spouse whose actions tear down what you built together. The parent who refuses to be who you need them to be. You watch your friend return to the cycle of pain, repeating the patterns that break them. You have tried so hard to change them, reasoning, showing them the pain of their choices, appealing to their hearts, and even crying out to me in prayer. You grieved for them, staying close enough to catch them when they fall. It all comes from love, but none of it can bend their will. That inner place only they can move. The choices of another rest in a deep space your effort cannot reach. No matter how loving or constant your effort is, their freedom is their own. It is the quiet chamber where their will operates, a place completely beyond your control. It is not beyond my reach, but it is beyond yours. Fighting what you cannot control is a battle that only exhausts you and never brings a resolution. The second thing you cannot control is the past. I say this because the sheer amount of energy you spend fighting what has already happened is staggering. You exhaust yourself trying to undo or rewrite history, desperate to prevent what cannot be changed. It is a hidden war against the unchangeable, and you do not even realize it. You replay old conversations in your mind, imagining different words. You endlessly rehearse choices made from wounded, limited places, wishing they had been different. You carry constant grief over what was done or left undone, said or unsaid, in seasons you can never return to. The past is completely out of your control. It has happened. It cannot be changed. Yet the precious inner energy you waste trying to rewrite history, as if you actually could, is the most draining of all your battles. The past does not need your fighting. It needs your release. Stop struggling with it, bring it to me, and trust that what I do with it is enough, even when what I do with it does not look like the outcome you would have chosen for yourself. The third thing you cannot control is the future. Specifically, those parts that are still completely uncertain, not yet decided, resting in the vast, open space of what might happen next. Your anxiety constantly invents worst-case scenarios, and then you fight them as if they were already real. You are battling a phantom future, replaying endless what-ifs that may never happen. You prepare your heart for outcomes that do not exist, mourning losses that have not even happened. You defend yourself against threats that are not there. All of this is an attempt to fight the future, and you cannot control the future. It is not because I've not planned it, for I have, but because it is still hidden from your eyes. Fighting the unseen brings nothing but exhaustion and deeper anxiety. The fourth thing you cannot control is what others think of you and how they respond, how they perceive you, whether they choose to understand or willfully misunderstand, whether they welcome your love or reject it, notice your efforts or ignore them, validate your choices or condemn them. These things matter to you, sometimes deeply. And caring is not wrong, but fighting to change their minds is. This constant inner strain to manage how others see you, receive you, and judge you is a battle against something you can never truly control. They will always see you through their own filters, shaped by their wounds, history, and needs. No perfect performance on your part will ever guarantee the reception you are hoping for. The energy you waste on that performance is energy stolen from being who I created you to be, which is the only way to find real connection anyway. And the fifth thing you cannot control is my timing. The pace at which I work, the order of events, the day your breakthrough arrives, and the moment the answer comes. All of these rest in my hands, not yours. Yet, fighting my timing is one of the most common ways my children choose to struggle against the uncontrollable. The impatience that tries to force what is not yet ready, and the striving that tries to rush what I am doing at my own pace. Your frustration with my timeline only makes you try harder to force things to happen faster than they should. I work with perfect purpose and precision, knowing exactly why the timing is what it is. Fighting against my timeline will never change it. It only steals the peace I want to give you. Type, I stop striving and start trusting in the comments today. Let this be your declaration that you are naming the uncontrollable things in your life and choosing to surrender the fight. Choose to bring them to me rather than continuing to strain against what will never move under your own strength. Let us talk about what this battle has been costing you. The price is high, and you pay it daily. I want to name it clearly, so you can decide if you want to keep paying. This constant battle against what you cannot control has a high price. And that price is not paid just once and then settled forever. You pay it every single day the struggle continues. It is slowly shaping the quality of your life in ways you might not even realize are connected to the fight. The first cost is your energy. I do not just mean the dramatic bursts of strength when the battle is active, but the constant, quiet drain of a soul locked in a war that never ends. The slow but steady burning of your inner resources as you stay vigilant, always monitoring, always ready to jump back in, managing the anxiety of a battle that never finishes. Energy that I designed for your relationships, your creativity, and the beautiful reality of your actual life. Energy for pursuing everything I have planned for you. You are being consumed by maintaining a fight that has no resolution. It will not have one, because what you fight is beyond your ability to resolve alone. This depletion you feel is real, and here is a major reason for your depletion. The second cost you pay is your joy. Joy demands a presence of heart that this struggle makes nearly impossible. Joy requires you to be fully present in a good moment, receiving what is beautiful and good right now, without this endless struggle dragging your mind back to what remains unresolved. When you are locked in a constant battle with things you cannot control, you are rarely present in the moments that truly matter. The struggle is always there, humming in the background, always demanding a piece of your inner focus, always making you seem slightly distant, like someone who is in the room, but also somewhere else. The laughter that should fill you is cut short. Your deepest connections become guarded. The delight that should flow freely is filtered through the constant worry of what has not yet been resolved. Joy is always one of the first casualties of this long war, and losing it is the heaviest price you have paid. The third cost is your physical health. Your body cannot be separated from what your soul carries. The endless stress of fighting what you cannot control shows up in your body in real, measurable ways. It is the tight tension residing in your shoulders and chest, and the sleep that fails to restore you, because your body never fully lets go of its guard, even in the dark. Your immune system suffers, because the energy meant to heal you is swallowed up by your constant anxiety. Inflammation flares up from this endless worry, leaving you exhausted and suffering from physical pain that seems to have no single cause. Your body has been paying this price alongside your soul and mind, and that debt has been building for as long as you have been fighting. The fourth cost is paid by your relationships. When you fight what you cannot control, you inevitably bring that heavy battle home to those you love. Your worry spills over into daily conversations, and your desperate need for reassurance clings to the people closest to you. The frustration of being so deeply exhausted makes patience with others feel almost impossible. Because you are only half present, the people you love do not receive the full, beautiful version of who you are. And when it comes to the person you are desperately trying to control, your bond with them suffers the most. Because the friction of your struggle ruins the connection, making real, loving presence with them nearly impossible. It actually solidifies the exact behaviors you want to change, because your pressure and control only breed resistance, instead of the open heart you long to see. The fifth cost is your relationship with me. Fighting what you cannot control crowds out our sacred connection, the very source meant to sustain you through this storm. When you are locked in this battle, you often come to me demanding answers instead of simply receiving my peace, asking me to fix the situation rather than just sitting with me inside it. You chase the outcome instead of our connection, and I do not blame you for this. Your prayers come from deep love and real need, but your constant struggle makes it hard to truly rest in my presence, because finding rest means letting go of the control you are gripping so tightly, and your fear tells you that letting go is far too dangerous. This distance between us is the cost I grieve most deeply, because it is in our sacred connection that your soul finds its healing and peace. Yet your constant struggle keeps you at a distance from me, the very source of your rescue. All of these heavy costs are real, and they continue daily. But I want you to know that none of them are necessary. I never asked you to pay these prices in the name of love, and they are not bringing about the peace you desire. This battle is costing you everything and earning you nothing. Let go, and I will accomplish far more in the stillness you surrender to me. I'm not asking you to shut off your heart or stop caring. I'm asking you to stop bleeding for a battle that is not yours to fight. Right, Lord, take the wheel of my life in the comments below. Let this be your solemn promise that you are stepping out of the driver's seat. Stop trying to steer what only I can direct. Let me, the one who knows every step of the road, take the wheel from your exhausted, trembling hands. Let me tell you what it truly means when I say, I have this. Because those three words carry a deep weight of promise that must not remain vague to you. When I tell you that I have this struggle, it is not just a comforting, empty promise. I'm speaking of a living, active, and deeply involved reality. And I want you to see exactly what that looks like, so that letting go does not feel like you are giving up, but rather that you are placing it into the hands best equipped to heal it. When I say I have it, I mean I am right there with you. I'm not watching from afar, nor am I just vaguely aware as a distant creator. I am deeply, intimately present in the exact pain and struggle you have been fighting so hard against. I am in the very room where the heartbreak happens, in the relationship where decisions are out of your hands, and in the storm that defies all your strength. My presence does not depend on your struggling. I was there before your battle even started. I will be there long after it finishes. And I am standing here right now, working in hidden ways that your own frantic efforts have only served to blind you from. When I say I have it, it means I understand the outcome far better than you do. You only see this chaos from the inside, through the narrow, limited lens of your own fears and deepest, most loving hopes. I see everything from all angles at once. I see what drives that soul, whose choices you cannot control. I see the hidden wounds beneath the behaviors that frighten you so deeply. I know the history that shaped the pattern you struggle to change. I see every hidden spark of openness in them, and I know exactly which timing, which approach, and which form of my love will reach their heart. My child, you have been fighting with only one perspective. I am working with the entire picture, and my complete vision changes what the right response to this situation truly is. Because I hold this, I am actively working within it, not sitting back waiting for a better moment to step in. I do not merely watch and delay. I am moving right now in powerful ways that your eyes cannot yet see from where you stand. This sacred work operates in ways you might not choose, guided by a timing and a strategy born of my infinite knowledge, rather than your own anxious and limited view of what must happen and when. The work I am doing in this moment does not depend on your exhausting fight to keep it alive. My power moves completely apart from your struggling. In truth, there are moments where my grace has been blocked by your straining, because your anxious grip creates resistance instead of the quiet surrender my healing spirit needs to flow through you. When I tell you I have this, know that I am never shocked by how things unfold. Every sudden twist, every painful choice that shocked you, and every turn that made your panic grow, I saw it all. I was never caught off guard, nor was I scrambling to adapt. I have foreseen everything that has happened in this moment, even the setbacks that seem to ruin your progress and make your efforts fail. I hold it all in my perfect awareness, and nothing is beyond my redeeming hand. My divine plan has not been defeated by these trials. I am not falling behind. I am never overwhelmed. I am never unsure of the next step. I work with absolute wisdom, infinite power, and endless love to guide you toward a beautiful promise that I am bringing to pass in my perfect timing. When I ask you to stop fighting, I'm not asking you to throw this situation into chaos. I'm asking you to release it into my absolute certainty. Your tight grip has never guaranteed safety. It only offered a false sense of control with no real peace. What my hands provide is not some cheap illusion of security, but true and lasting safety. It is the deep, quiet peace of knowing that I hold your life with infinite power, carrying everything toward the good future I have designed. The void you fear when you finally let go does not exist. That fearful shadow is actually what you are living in right now. You live in that darkness every day as you struggle, wondering if your work matters, asking yourself if you will ever be enough. When you surrender this burden to me, you will not find fear. You will find the deep rest of a soul who placed the uncontrollable into the hands that rule the universe. Right. I release my grip and rest in you, in the comments as your declaration today. I am not asking you to stop caring. I am simply asking you to let go of your grip. It is a conscious, beautiful choice to open the hands that have held this so tightly, to let the heavy weight transfer into mine, and to rest in the peace. But what is in my hands is far safer than in yours. If my words have guided you and given you strength to see your path clearly, then please like, subscribe, and share this truth. Support this ministry through the link below so other hearts can receive this promise at the perfect time. Let me make an important distinction now. Otherwise, my call to stop fighting what you cannot control might sound like an invitation to abandon your life entirely. It might seem like I am telling you to be helpless when trials come, or to use faith as an excuse to ignore the real duties and choices I have placed before you. But that is never what I would ask of you. There is a vast difference between battling what you cannot control and faithfully stepping into what I have called you to do. Grasping this distinction is key to living a surrendered life without becoming completely passive. The work I have given you is real, and it matters deeply. I'm not asking you to step away. You have a sacred role to play in every single chapter of your life. There are actions well within your reach, within your responsibilities, and within the bounds of what love and true faithfulness demand of you. You can speak with honest, gentle love to the soul whose current choices bring you fear, instead of trying to control them with anxiety. Bringing this situation to me in honest, persistent, and faithful prayer is also your sacred duty. Making wise choices within your own power and stewarding well the precious things I have entrusted to your care. This is yours to do. Cherishing the people around you in the practical, daily ways that true love shows itself. This is your calling. Showing up, staying faithful, speaking truth, and being willing to serve in the ways open to you. All of that belongs to you. I would never ask you to drop those things. But it is not your job to force an outcome, or to dictate the choices another soul makes with their free will. It is not yours to rewrite yesterday, or to rush my perfect timing. You cannot control how others perceive you when you cannot see inside their hearts. Do not try to force a breakthrough in areas that will only yield to my gentle spirit. These are the heavy burdens that belong entirely in the category of what you cannot control. I ask you to drop the conflict, not your devotion. Keep caring, keep doing your part faithfully, but simply stop trying to battle the things you were never meant to fight. Let me show you a practical way to find exactly where that line is in your life today. Ask yourself, Is what you are doing in this moment within your genuine capacity to change? Or are you straining against something that has already shown it will not yield to your effort? Is this action you are taking the expression of faithful love? Or is it mostly the urge of anxiety, needing to do something, anything, to feel less helpless in the face of what you cannot control? Is this engagement serving the relationship in your situation? Or does it mostly serve your need to feel that you are not letting go, not giving up, not abandoning what you love? These questions are not accusatory. They are clarifying. They help you see where your faithful engagement ends and the anxious fighting begins. And this clarity is the beginning of release. I want to show you what your part looks like once you have laid down the struggle. Because letting go of the fight does not mean letting go of the relationship, the care, or your faithfulness to what I have called you to in this moment. It means engaging from a different place within. Instead of reacting out of the anxiety of someone struggling to control the outcome, you act from the rest of one who has surrendered the outcome to me, free at last to be truly present rather than consumed with managing it. How you show up now changes everything. When you fight for control, you unconsciously project a pressure that only creates more resistance. But when you release the outcome, you bring a quiet presence and sincere love that actually creates room for the very openness you have been hoping for. Releasing the struggle is often the very thing that makes what you wanted possible. Not because your own effort could ever produce it, but because your peace, free from anxious management, creates the space where I can work most powerfully. I want to speak to you about prayer, because it is the ultimate way to act while releasing the outcome to me. The prayer that fights, pressing against the situation with the force of desperate worry, demanding a certain outcome at a certain hour, is just the struggle against what you cannot control, wrapped in spiritual words. But the prayer that releases, bringing the whole weight of your situation to me honestly and fully, and then truly leaving it in my hands, trusting me to do what I have promised, that is a completely different act. Both bring the situation to me, but one is merely the continuation of your struggle in spiritual form, while the other is the true surrender that makes room for my power. I hear both, but only one truly releases the situation so that I can work in absolute freedom. Pray. Bring me the situation in all its detail, and genuinely leave it with me instead of picking it back up the moment your prayer ends. Type, "You have it, Lord. I trust you completely," in the comments today. Let that be your declaration of the trust that replaces your struggle, choosing my strength over your straining. Release the outcome into my hands, which have always been more capable of holding it than yours. Let me show you what stopping the fight, trusting me completely, looks like through the lives of those who walked this path. Because the most powerful evidence of what I ask of you is not an argument, but a living witness. And my history with my people is filled with concrete witnesses to what happens when someone in a genuinely impossible situation stops fighting what they cannot control and chooses instead to trust me, the one who has it. Remember Moses, standing at the edge of the Red Sea, an army pressing behind him and an uncrossable sea stretching before him. Every human instinct in a leader of 2 million people would cry out, "Do something, find another way, fight." The sheer helplessness of that moment, the total impossibility of it through human eyes, the absolute lack of any obvious path forward. This was the exact context in which he heard me speak the words I want you to hear right now, in your own impossible situation. Stand still and see my salvation. Stop fighting. Stop straining. Stop trying to produce by your own strength what your human effort can never bring to pass. Stand still and watch what I can do with what you release. What followed did not come from Moses' fighting, but from his trusting. And it opened a path that no amount of fighting could ever create, a way through the uncrossable. Think of Jehoshaphat, facing massive armies that completely outmatched his forces. His honest cry to me was, "We do not know what to do, but our eyes are on you." It was not a show of fake faith, but an honest admission of helplessness, choosing to look to me in their weakness. And then came my specific instruction, which I want you to hear in your own trial. You will not need to fight this battle. Take your position. Stand still and see my salvation on your behalf. The victory was not won by human military strategy. It was won as worshippers led the army, while the people stood still and watched me do what they knew was completely beyond their power. Releasing the struggle was not abandoning the threat. It was aligning their approach with what the situation actually required, which was not their fighting, but their complete trust in me. Remember Mary, when everything she knew about her life was overturned by what I was asking her to step into. She could not control what was happening, nor could she manage the heavy consequences. She could not foresee the path set before her. Yet, she chose to release the control she never truly had, speaking words that still stand as the ultimate expression of a surrendered heart. Be it unto me according to your word. This was not resignation. It was not passive helplessness, but the active choosing of my will over her own control. It was the genuine release of her future into my hands, born of trust rather than desperation. And what followed that beautiful release was the most significant event in human history. Look at my disciples in that storm-tossed boat. They were fishermen. They knew boats, water, and wild weather. They had the skills that seemed perfect for the task, pouring in every ounce of effort, only to end up exhausted and terrified, because that storm was far beyond their human control. They finally ran to me, not first, but only after their own struggle failed, and found me sleeping, completely untroubled, resting in the very storm that was shattering their peace. When I spoke to the storm, my question to them was not, "Why did you not try harder?" but simply, "Where is your faith?" The faith they lacked was not about being better sailors. It was the faith that stops fighting what you cannot control and hands it over to me, the one who holds all authority. Do not think these are old stories with no meaning for your life on this very day. This is the pattern of my movement, a constant demonstration throughout my history with my children of what becomes possible when you surrender what you cannot control and let trust in my absolute sufficiency take over. Your situation is different in detail, of course, but the principle is identical. What you cannot fix by fighting is exactly what I am equipped to handle when you trust me. Letting go of the struggle is not giving up. It is aligning your heart with the truth of where your real help actually comes from. From me. Type, "I lay my burdens at the foot of the cross," in the comments today. Let this declare that you are joining the generations of my children who face their own impossible walls, only to find that what they could not cross alone, they crossed easily in my strength. I want to show you what happens inside when you truly let go. I want you to know what to expect, so that when it begins, you can receive the peace it brings, instead of being caught off guard or missing it entirely because it looks different than you expected. The inner shift that happens when you stop fighting the uncontrollable is one of the most powerful, instantly noticeable changes you can ever experience. And I want to describe it clearly so you can welcome it, rather than fighting it without realizing. The very first sign that you have truly let go is a shift in your breath. This may sound small, but it is massive. A body locked in a continuous struggle is a body braced for impact, carrying all the physical tension of that exhausting effort. You end up breathing with the shallow, tight gasps of someone carrying a crushing weight. But when you let go, even for a single moment, and place that uncontrollable thing into my hands, your body responds immediately. Your breath deepens. It slows down. Your exhale empties completely in a way that worry never allowed. This is not a technique you have to force. It is your body's natural response to the inner signal that the battle is over, that I'm holding the threat, and that you can finally relax. Notice your breathing when you practice surrendering to me. Let it be the physical proof that a real, holy shift is happening deep inside you. The second thing you will notice is your mind growing quiet. Not all at once, because a mind that has been trying to manage a crisis for so long does not simply shut down the moment you surrender. Yet the heavy mental noise of your struggle, the constant planning, calculating, and running of worst-case scenarios that dominated your thoughts, finally begins to clear out. The thoughts might still linger, but they lose their frantic urgency, no longer strong enough to drag your entire focus back into their trap. You will feel a gentle opening of inner space, a quietness that grows deeper as you surrender more and anchor your trust in me. This quiet space is incredibly precious. It is the exact place where you can feel me, where my presence registers with absolute clarity, the place where the peace I have always offered you finally becomes a beautiful, lived reality instead of just a concept. Third, you will find yourself stepping fully back into the present moment. When you are constantly fighting, you are torn between the past that hurts you and the scary future you fear. The actual moment of your life happening right now is lost to you. You cannot truly live in the now because your struggle consumes all of your focus. But when you let go, the present snaps back into beautiful focus. You notice the light in the room, the texture of the moment, the face of the person sitting right before you. The simple wonder of being alive in this very second is restored to you. Do not dismiss this return of the present. It is the return of your actual, living life to you. The life you missed while fighting is finally yours again. And fourth, the most beautiful thing of all, your direct connection to me opens up wide. This is what I long for you to experience most, because it is the source of everything else. Your battle against the uncontrollable has created loud static between us. Not because I ever walked away, but because your struggle has drowned out my frequency, making it hard to feel my presence or hear my voice. When you let go, the static fades and my channel clears. The words I have whispered all along suddenly become clear. My presence, which never left, is felt once more. Your prayers will no longer feel like crying out into silence, but like a real, tender conversation between us. The crushing feeling of being alone in your pain will vanish, replaced by the deep knowing that I am right there with you, walking through every specific detail of your struggle. Knowing I am with you changes absolutely everything. It is the realization that you are not alone with your giants. I am right here in the room with you, actively working on your behalf. Know that this battle you keep fighting was never necessary. My hand was always here, always working. What comes next is a beauty that can only be described as relief. Not the relief of things suddenly working out or circumstances changing overnight, but the quiet relief of finally dropping that crushing weight you have carried in your arms for so long. The deep physical and emotional release as your hands open. The weight transfers to me, and your inner bracing finally begins to soften. This quiet peace is the very first thing you receive when you truly surrender to me, and it is my warmest invitation for you to keep letting go. When your body and soul taste even a tiny drop of this peace, they naturally long for more. They are drawn back to the very place where they found rest. This relief will teach you. It will prove to your heart that everything I have told you is true. The battle was draining you more than you realized, but letting go brings what striving never could. Type: I am not the author of my story. God is, in the comments today. Let this be your declaration that you are releasing the pen to me, that you are trusting me, who has seen your end from your beginning, to write what needs to be written in this chapter, and that you are choosing to rest, leaving your life in my hands, for I am the only one qualified to write it. Let me speak directly about the ones you love who are completely out of your control, because loving someone and being unable to protect them from themselves is one of the most piercing pains your human heart can ever feel. I see how fiercely you fight this quiet war. I see the parent who watches an adult child walk straight toward a dangerous cliff, the spouse shut out by a partner who is closing down, the friend who has watched a loved one repeat the same self-destructive cycles for years, unable to pull them free, and the soul who cries out to me in prayer every day, only to watch the darkness remain unchanged. These are the hardest battles for you to surrender, because they are so close to your heart, fueled by the most genuine love you possess, and because letting go feels terribly like you are abandoning them, especially when your own soul is so deeply bound to theirs. Let me speak directly to that fear of abandonment. It is the very thing that keeps you fighting long after your struggle has proven it cannot produce the breakthrough your desperate heart so badly longs for. Your heart cries, if I stop fighting for this person, I am telling them and the entire universe that they are not worth the struggle. It tells you that love is only real if you are constantly striving, and that letting go means giving up on love. You feel that if you let go, no one is holding them, and your absence will allow the worst to happen. Each of these thoughts is incredibly heavy, and they come from a real place. Your deep love for someone who is truly in danger. But your fears are wrong about what surrender truly means. Letting go of your struggle for them is not abandoning them, it is bringing them to me. I love them infinitely more than you do, with a love far deeper and more powerful than any human heart can offer. When you release them from your tight grip into my hands, you are not leaving them defenseless. You are placing them under the ultimate shield. You are trusting me, their creator, who knows every deep wound driving the behaviors you are powerless to change. I see the soft spaces in their heart your struggle misses, and I have ways to reach them that your strength can never touch. You are not ending your love. You are giving it real power by placing them in my hands, which can do what yours have worn themselves out trying to do. Hear me when I tell you what happens to your relationship when you release them to me. The shift is real, and it is beautiful. The person you have struggled over has felt your anxiety. Even if they cannot name it, they feel the heavy pressure of your control, your constant attempts to fix them and steer their path, even when they cannot put it into words. This desperate need to force an outcome settles in their soul, and it only breeds more resistance and rebellion, rather than openness. True transformation only happens in the deep, quiet place of the heart, which is awakened by a love that offers freedom, not pressure. When you step out of the battle, your entire presence shifts. The heavy pressure finally lifts. You stop trying to manage them, and you simply start loving them. Instead of demanding they change, you offer them the grace of being accepted as they are, while fully trusting me to shape who they will become. This quiet freedom is often the exact soil where the genuine growth and change you fought so hard for can finally take root. Let me also touch your own aching heart. Releasing them allows you to finally grieve. The sorrow of loving someone you cannot save is deep, and that pain deserves my comfort. Seeing them make painful choices or watching situations spiral out of your hands brings a heavy grief. Neither your fighting nor your letting go can instantly make that ache disappear. The pain remains because your love is real, and the reality of what you are witnessing is truly, deeply heartbreaking. But when you carry this sorrow while fighting, it has nowhere to rest. It only spins in restless, anxious circles, feeding the very exhaustion that wears your tired spirit down to nothing. But the sorrow carried in trust finds its resting place in me. You can lay it before me, not as a desperate prayer to fix things, but as the raw, honest tears of a soul loving past its limits. And I hold your tears with a compassion as deep as the love that shed them. Type, "I cease striving, and know that you are God," in the comments today. Let this be your declaration over those you cannot control. You are choosing to release this battle into my hands, trusting the one who loves them infinitely, and who can reach the deep places your struggle can never touch. I must speak to you of my sovereignty now, for this sovereignty is the foundation beneath all I have spoken to you. To truly know my sovereignty, not in your mind, but deep in your soul where life is transformed, makes letting go of the struggle more than just a duty. It becomes the most natural, restful surrender to the reality of your life. Know this truth. Absolutely nothing in your life is outside my authority. Nothing you cannot control is beyond my reach. Nothing in this world I created operates apart from my constant gaze and my active, loving engagement. I am no mere spectator to the chaos you cannot control. Hear me. I am the one who holds it all, yet I speak softly here, for my sovereignty is deeply misunderstood. Too often, instead of bringing you the rest I intended, this misunderstanding has only birthed a heavier, darker kind of anxiety within your heart. This broken view whispers that if I am truly sovereign, then I must directly cause all your pain. It claims that I am the author of your suffering and responsible for your deepest wounds. It tells you that trusting me with your brokenness means trusting the very hand that broke you in the first place. And that lie brings only confusion, never rest. It breeds a quiet anger at me, making you cling to the fight. For how can you surrender your struggle to the one you blame for causing the battle? Let me be clear now. My sovereignty does not mean that I actively cause every shadow and storm that crosses your path. I created a world of true freedom. In this world, my children make real choices that carry real, heavy consequences. Some of those choices bring terrible pain, things I would never have willed for those I love so dearly. The heavy trials that have found you flow from the broken logic of a fallen world, not because my heart designed your suffering. My sovereignty means that nothing is beyond my power to respond. Nothing can outrun my capacity to work within it. No pain born of human brokenness is ever beyond my power to redeem. I am not the author of your suffering. I am its redeemer. And that single truth changes everything about how you face the things you cannot control. It means that the person whose choices you cannot control is never hidden from my sight or beyond my reach. They are truly free. I honor that freedom because it was my sacred gift to them. Yet, even within their free will, I am quietly at work, whispering to them. I shape the moments around them, gently inviting their hearts toward what is good. I weave purpose through the fallout of their choices, cultivating a growth where your force never could. My sovereignty never violates their freedom. I move within, around, and through their lives in ways you cannot see from where you stand. Yet my work is real, guiding them to my eternal purpose. Hear me. The very situation resisting your desperate efforts cannot resist mine. What yields not to your struggle is not immovable. It is simply unmovable by your strength, your path, and your timing. I am never limited by what your strength can achieve. What looks like an impenetrable wall to you is entirely different from where I stand. My hand is never bound by the boundaries that limit yours. I see exactly where the door opens. I know the perfect timing. I have endless resources you have not yet dreamed of, and my work in your life does not require your frantic struggle to sustain it. Indeed, your letting go clears the path, creating the very space my hand requires to move and work through your life. For my sovereignty means your story is never random. This painful chapter, though it feels chaotic and wild, has not escaped its author. I have seen this page. I know it. I know the strength it builds in you. I see how this connects perfectly to your past and your future. I know who you are becoming in this fire and why it matters for the glory ahead. The things you cannot control are not chaos. They are the holy ground where I, who see the entire arc of your life, write with deep intention and endless love toward the beautiful ending I have always planned for you. Rest in this. Do not just recite this as doctrine, but let it settle deep within your soul. Know that I, the one who holds what you cannot grasp, am never absent, never passive, never overwhelmed, and never limited in how I love and rescue you. I hold it completely. You can rest now. Type, "Your will, not mine, be done in my life," in the comments. Let that be your declaration of trust in my sovereignty. Choose my peaceful governance over your constant, exhausting fight. Release every single outcome into my hands, the very hands that were always uniquely qualified to hold your fragile life. If these deep words of mine have guided you today, strengthening your soul and clearing your path, then please like, subscribe, and share this message. Support this ministry through the link below so others can hear this word in their hour of need. I must speak to you of trust now. Trust is the core of your surrender, yet it is the hardest thing to find when your storm is raging at its worst. And I will speak of it honestly, not as some easy, automatic switch that flips if your faith is strong enough, but as the raw reality it truly is, a heavy, costly choice made with zero feelings of confidence. It is a decision you make even when your entire inner being is screaming in doubt and fear. Trust is not a feeling. Let me make this clear from the start. So many of my children believe they cannot trust simply because they do not feel it. You have mistaken the warm emotion of trust for the sacred act of trusting itself. That quiet confidence in my goodness, my power, and my loving plan for you is actually the fruit of trust, not the root. It is what blooms when you choose to trust me again and again. It is never a prerequisite to start. If you wait until you feel ready before you step out, you will wait forever. The feeling only comes through the doing. Action must come first. Trusting me means choosing to live as though my words are true, no matter how wild your feelings rage. It is a decision, however shaky and imperfect, to lay your uncontrollable burdens at my feet and leave them there, even when your anxious hands ache to grab them back. That choice, made in the dark, is true, pure trust. It is the most precious faith you can offer, because it relies on nothing but me, costing you something real. Know this. Trust is not a guarantee of how things will end. So many of you believe that real faith means being absolutely certain that the exact outcome you are praying for will happen. Then, when things do not go your way, you assume your faith was too weak, or that trusting me was a mistake. But trust is no contract for a specific result. It is complete confidence in my character, because I hold the future. I am good, I am faithful, and I am weaving all things together for the ultimate good of those I cherish. True trust means letting my love be enough, even when my definition of enough looks entirely different from yours, and even when my perfect plan does not align with your immediate desires. When you can trust me, even when your prayers seem unanswered, you reach a beautiful depth of faith that is worth every single tear. This faith no longer depends on easy circumstances, so no earthly storm can ever tear it down. Trust is never a single, final accomplishment. It is a daily, moment-by-moment choosing. It becomes easier with practice, but it will never be fully automatic. The burdens that require your faith are genuinely heavy, and your heart has been deeply shaped by painful experiences that made trusting feel dangerous. Healing your heart takes time, patience, and repeated proof that resting in me is not the dangerous mistake your fear whispers it is. Each time you dare to trust me and find yourself held, the next choice becomes slightly lighter. Each time you let go of the struggle and taste even a tiny drop of my perfect peace, surrender becomes a little more natural for you. We build your faith through tiny, daily moments of letting go and realizing your surrender was safe, that whatever you placed in my hands was tenderly received and securely held. I want to speak to you about trusting me in those dark seasons when all the evidence seems to stand against me. When the very storm you surrendered keeps growing fiercer instead of calm. When the precious soul you placed in my hands continues to make choices that carry them further and further from home. When the miracle you expected is nowhere in sight, and your daily life seems to mock the very goodness you are trying to believe in. These are your darkest hours. Yet they are the exact moments where your faith is tested and made pure. The faith that survives when all proof seems gone is the faith that runs deepest. It has been forced to stand on my character rather than my visible results, and my heart is your only truly unshakable foundation. I am faithful, even when your circumstances tell you I am not. I am actively working when my hands are completely hidden. I am steering your life toward what is truly good, even when my movements look like the exact opposite from where you stand. Trust me in those silent seasons. Do not pretend the pain is not real, but choose my character as your solid ground anyway. Speak it aloud, and write down in the comments, I trust the hands that hold my life. Let this be your holy declaration. Declare it not just in sunny days when proof is easy, but in the wilderness, where you must reach beyond what you can see. Find your footing in my character, for I have never once dropped what I hold. Let me tell you what fills your soul when you finally surrender the struggle, the abundant life that blooms in the space your constant anxiety used to consume. Giving up the fight is not about loss. It is about what you gain, and what you gain is so wonderful that I want to paint a clear picture for you. I want you to have a vision of where you are going, not just what you are escaping. First, you will find genuine, deep rest. Not the cold numbness of someone who has simply given up and surrendered to fate, but the exquisite, sacred peace of a child who has finally placed their heavy load into my hands and felt the weight lift. This peace is unlike anything the world offers, because it does not depend on your problems being solved. Your circumstances may still be hard. Your loved ones may still be making worrying choices. The future may look unclear, but your soul is at peace, because you have stopped fighting. The burden is mine now. You can finally breathe. Your constant, exhausting watchfulness can finally end. This quiet rest is exactly what your wounded soul needs to heal. It is the rest of someone who is no longer standing in the way of my miracles. You have stepped down as the weary warrior and stepped into the joy of being my beloved recipient. Second, I will give you clarity. Your constant struggling only serves to cloud your inner vision. It floods your mind with the deafening noise of control, with endless strategies, desperate calculations, and backup plans that this constant struggle demands of you. And in all that loud noise, the quiet, clear things, especially my voice, become so hard to hear. But when you let go of the fight, the noise fades, bringing a deep clarity you could never reach while battling inside. You will start to see everything clearly, free from the distorting lens of anxiety, viewing life with a grounded, honest heart. You will no longer be consumed with controlling the outcome. You will see your path clearly, what is genuinely yours to do, versus what you have tried to carry that is not yours. You will begin to hear my voice in the quiet of surrender, sensing what I am speaking over your situation and your weary heart. The third beautiful gift that opens up is true presence with those you love. If you have been fighting to control your closest relationships, you have been absent from them, even when sitting right next to them. Because that inner war consumes all the bandwidth true presence requires. Once you stop fighting, your presence returns. You can simply be with the ones you love without trying to manage them, without the heavy weight of an unresolved fight coloring your words, and without pouring pressure on them. Your conversations will shift, becoming easier, deeper, and no longer focused on forcing them to change. You will stop pushing for your desired outcome and become truly curious about who they are right now. The love that was always real, once choked by the anxiety of control, will flow freely through the open space of your true presence. Real presence heals places in people that pressure can never touch. And the fourth gift is your true purpose. The constant struggle has been draining the vital energy I gave you for the unique calling I placed on your life. I designed your life to impact the world far beyond this uncontrollable storm that has been stealing all your focus. Your gifts have slept because the battle drained what they needed to grow. My calling on your life was put on hold because the struggle demanded first place. Your service, your creativity, and your alignment with my great design have all been waiting for the inner space that anxiety was choking out. When you release the struggle, these deep gifts will finally breathe again. The energy wasted on managing the uncontrollable will finally be restored for what I truly called you to do. Walking in your real purpose brings a vibrant aliveness that the battle never could. The fifth gift you will receive is a completely new relationship with me. A fighting prayer that demands a specific outcome builds a fragile connection, unlike a trusting prayer that lays the burden down and leaves it in my hands. When you stop demanding and start trusting, resting in my sovereignty instead of fighting it, something beautiful opens between us that the struggle had kept closed. My presence does not change when you trust me, but your heart becomes far more open to receiving me. You will actually receive what I am offering, walking in close relationship with me instead of constantly negotiating for the results you want. The deep intimacy we will share when you let go is worth every ounce of the struggle to surrender. This is the fountain where your surrendered life begins. Right. He fights my battles, and I stand still. In the comments below. Let this be your declaration that you are choosing the posture of Jehoshaphat. Step out of the fighting ring and step into the place of a faithful witness, trusting that the battle belongs entirely to me. My victory in your battles is infinitely greater than anything you could ever win alone. I want to give you something practical for your journey ahead, because releasing control over your life is not a single act that is permanently settled. It is a daily, sometimes hourly decision, a constant choice to rest in my grace rather than fight in your strength. This beautiful practice is easiest to keep when you have a simple structure to guide you. Let me give you specific daily rhythms that will guard this peaceful posture in the middle of your busy life. Your first daily practice is the morning identification and release. Before the noise of the day starts, in those first quiet moments, pause deliberately and name exactly what is weighing on your heart. Point out what is completely out of your hands. Do not just say, "I give you my worries." But name the specific person whose choices you cannot control. Name the situation that remains broken, despite your best efforts, and the exact outcome you are trying to force. Speak its name, and then, with quiet intention, release it directly into my hands. Pray something simple like, "This is yours today. I will not fight this battle. I am choosing to trust you with it." That simple morning habit will slowly shift your whole day from a default posture of fighting to an intentional choice of surrender. Your second practice is noticing without resuming. As you go about your day, the old habit will try to reclaim what you surrendered. Your mind will try to micromanage the uncontrollable again, and the familiar worry will creep back in. You will start plotting, checking the situation to see if anything has changed, wondering if you need to step in. When you catch yourself doing this, do not beat yourself up. Just notice it, and choose to trust me once more. Just say, "I picked this back up, and now I am putting it down." Do this without guilt, and without forcing a confidence you do not feel. Simply notice and release it as many times as you need to. Doing it again does not mean you failed the first time. It is just a new, healthy habit taking root where the old struggle used to live. The third practice is trusting prayer. I have spoken to you of prayer as a battlefield, demanding instead of releasing. But there is another way, a trusting prayer that looks entirely different. It brings your deepest pain to me with raw honesty about how it hurts. It pours out your true fear and worry without hiding behind a performance of spiritual strength. And then, at the very end, it does something that desperate fighting prayers never do. It lets go. It whispers, in whatever words you can find, "I have brought this to you, Lord. I am leaving it here. I will not pick it back up when I rise. I trust you, Lord." That final, sacred release at the end of your pouring out is the very shift that transforms your soul from within. It is not the instant healing of your circumstance, but the healing of your desperate grip on it. And opening your hand finally allows me to move with the freedom your tight grip was blocking. Your fourth practice is finding gratitude for signs of my hand at work. To keep this open hand, you must actively watch for the quiet ways I am moving in the middle of your chaos. This is not some forced demand for blind positivity. It is because truly noticing my hand at work, even when the final victory has not yet arrived, builds the very trust that keeps you free. You will begin to feel a gentle softening in the soul you have been fighting for. You will witness an unexpected shift in your circumstances, or watch a heavy burden you exhausted yourself trying to manage suddenly resolve itself without any effort of your own. These moments of my grace are real, and they unfold even in the hardest places. And choosing to look at my work, instead of staring only at the brokenness, is its own beautiful form of trust. It is choosing to focus on my promises, rather than sinking into despair over what is still unfinished. Your fifth practice is holy community. When you try to step back from the battle alone, you are tempted to pick up the sword again without others there to remind you of your peace and keep you true to your choice. Seek out those who have laid down their own weapons, those living in my quiet rest rather than striving, and let their peace steady your heart. Tell a trusted friend what you are surrendering, and ask them to pray for your enduring peace rather than the outcome you used to fight for. This shift, from begging for a result to asking for deeper trust, is a monumental step closer to me. It is choosing my divine way over your own plans. It is one of the most honest prayers a hurting soul can ever offer to me. Write these words down today. I walk by faith and not by sight. Let that be your sacred vow that you are committing to this daily journey of release. You are choosing to believe me even when your eyes see no reason to, slowly replacing the instinct to fight with the grace of surrender, one breath at a time. Let me show you a vivid vision of what lies ahead, of how your life will feel when surrender takes hold and trust replaces the constant battle. You need a beautiful promise to run toward, not just a struggle to flee. And this destination I am guiding you toward is so beautiful, I must describe it so you will recognize its arrival. You can welcome it gently, rather than missing my quiet work because it did not arrive with thunder. Before you lies a brand new kind of morning, one that does not start with the heavy armor of battle. It will not wake you with the crushing weight of the uncontrollable pressing down before your eyes even open. You will no longer spend your first waking moments steeling your soul to push against a mountain that will not budge. Mornings on the other side of surrender begin with a quiet soul. The trial is still there, and the storm has not fully cleared, but your heart is no longer defined by the war. Those you love may still make choices that break your heart, but your first thought in the morning will not be the battle. It will be a return to me. It is the simple, honest act of placing your heavy burdens directly into my hands the moment you wake. A deep rest awaits you in that surrender, before your feet even touch the floor. Ahead of you is a lighter, gentler presence with those you love. Your words with the one you have been fighting for will soften, once the dark shadow of conflict stops haunting every conversation. A love freed from the exhaustion of trying to control can finally just be love, pure, present, and no longer straining to force them into the mold you desire. And that gentle love, which seeks nothing but to simply love them, is the only force powerful enough to reach the deepest chambers of their soul. It is a devotion that no amount of your pressure could ever touch. Surrendering this war might finally open the door to the connection you ache for. True intimacy requires the peaceful presence your anger drove away. Ahead lies the recovery of your own soul. When you stop fighting what you cannot change, you will reclaim the beautiful pieces of yourself the war stole. Like the laughter that the heavy burden had crushed. You will feel wonder return, curiosity about life, about others, and about the glorious works of my hands. Your desperate battle had narrowed everything into a single, anxious focus. You will find your creativity again, which needs the quiet freedom that anxiety was draining away. You will reclaim the deep capacity for joy that was always buried beneath the noise of battle. These precious parts of you are still alive and unharmed, waiting for the space that surrender opens. They will return. This healing will not happen overnight, and it demands your daily commitment to let go. But it will come, steadily, as your fingers loosen, your soul breathes, and your entire life begins to rest in me, rather than the war. Before you is a new, deeper faith, not the anxious clinging that demands a specific miracle just to believe that I am good. I'm not looking for a faith constantly shaken by the gap between your hopes and reality, but the quiet, enduring trust of a soul who no longer demands perfect outcomes to prove my faithfulness, but finds my character enough, even in seasons when the answers have not yet arrived. This faith runs deeper than what you had before the trials. It has been forged in fire, not just handed to you. It knows my truth not because life is easy, but because you walked through the fire and found me right there, actively working in your pain. You discovered that letting go of the struggle actually bears fruit, even if it is not the exact harvest you had planned for. This forged faith is the most precious thing I built within you during uncontrollable times. It is worth every single painful day it took to create. What lies ahead is your ministry to others. When you stop fighting what you cannot control, you find rest. This surrender gives you something to offer those who are still struggling and cannot find peace alone. You will stand as a witness who faced the impossible and learned that trusting me was not giving up on those you love. It was the most powerful, loving thing you could do. This testimony does not come from a life where everything is perfectly resolved, but from the messy middle of the road. That is the most precious gift you can offer to someone else. I'm preparing you to share this now. This uncontrollable season, as painful as it has been, is shaping you to reach people who are drowning in the exact storm you survived. They need the unique wisdom I am building in you. Type, "I rest in the sovereign care of God," in the comments now. Let this be your declaration of the life you are moving toward, the quiet strength you are shaping, and the deep trust growing within you as you practice the art of letting go, which is molding you into the person I have always destined you to be. Let me speak to you about who you are when the struggle no longer defines you. The fight has been your identity for so long that letting go makes you wonder what is even left of you. That warrior spirit was real, and it served its purpose. I honor what that struggle stood for: your deep love, your fierce loyalty, and your refusal to quit when walking away would have been so much easier. That dedication is beautiful, and I honor it. But I also want to show you who you are underneath it all. The true self waiting beneath the armor. The version of you that emerges when you finally lay down your weapons. Beneath the warrior is a soul who loves so deeply. Your struggle was how you showed love when you thought there was no other way. But battle is not the only way to love. The fierce love driving you has other ways to speak. Ways that are softer, more lasting, and far more healing for the ones you are trying to protect. A love that prays constantly feels very different from a love that battles constantly. And those you care for can always tell the difference. When you trust me with the ones you love, it is entirely different from trying to control their path, and that surrender reaches deep places in their hearts that control never could. Beneath the fighter is a lover, and that is your true essence. Letting go of the war does not mean letting go of your love. It actually frees your heart to love fully, just as I intended. Beneath that struggle is a divine purpose larger than this overwhelming situation. You were created for so much more than just keeping up this constant fight. Your unique gifts, your calling, and the way I made you to touch this world were never meant to be confined to a battlefield. This conflict was just a season, a heavy teaching season. But it is not the entire destiny I have written for your life. Hidden beneath the armor is a creator with beautiful things to build, gifts to offer, and souls to reach who have absolutely nothing to do with this current crisis. There are souls waiting for the specific blend of spiritual gifts, life experience, and hard-won wisdom that only you can offer them. But you cannot reach them while this struggle consumes all your strength. Beneath the weary warrior is someone who is allowed to rest. Not a fake rest you try to catch between rounds of battle, and not just a quick recovery before you jump right back into the fire, but true, sacred peace. The rest of a soul who has finally laid down a burden they were never meant to carry alone, finding quiet within. This deep peace is yours to claim. It is not some distant spiritual goal reserved for a perfect future version of you. It is the natural state of your heart. When you surrender the struggle, when you stop holding your breath, quiet the anxious monitoring, and finally, use your energy to actually live the beautiful life I gave you. Beneath the warrior is a soul who trusts me. I do not mean a shallow, spoken trust that hides the ongoing battle underneath, but a deep, authentic surrender. It is the daily, lived trust of someone who let go of the control and realized that when they fell, my hands were there to catch them. You will realize that I, the one holding your uncontrollable storms, am truly trustworthy. Letting go is never the tragic loss you feared, but the birth of something far more beautiful than any victory you could ever win by fighting. This deep trust is ready for you now. I do not reserve it only for people with easier lives or simple situations. It is fully yours in the midst of your exact storm. It grows not when life becomes easy, but as you practice letting go of the battle, right where you are. And beneath that struggle is someone I have known since before you ever began to fight. Someone I love completely, in all your complexity, both the wounds that demanded this battle and the fears that keep it alive. I have written your story with perfect intention through every season, including this one. Your truest self is not this fighter, but my beloved child, resting in a father who has always held everything you are desperately straining to control. I have been waiting with absolute patience for the moment you would finally, gratefully, and exhaustedly open your hands to discover that what you needed most was never to win this battle, but to rest in my arms, where I have always held what you were fighting for. Type, I choose trust over worry every single day in the comments. Let that be your declaration of who you are choosing to be. Not the warrior straining against what you cannot control, but my trusting child, resting in the arms of your sovereign Father who has it, has always had it, and will never let go. And if my words have guided you, strengthened you, and made your path clear, then like, subscribe, and share this message, supporting my ministry through the link below so others can receive this word at just the right time. Now, I want to speak about what happens to those specific relationships most caught up in your struggle, because the connections where you fought hardest to control outcomes are the very ones that will change most beautifully as you let go. And this transformation will surprise you, shifting in a direction you never could have anticipated. You might expect that letting go will only make things worse, believing that your constant fighting was the only thing holding the bond together, or the only shield preventing total disaster. The only way to prove that this relationship is still worth fighting for. But when you truly lay down your weapons, the opposite happens. The relationship finally begins to open up. This opening happens because your entire presence changes the moment you step out of the role of a warrior. The person you love has only known a version of you focused on outcomes. Someone carrying an agenda into every interaction, no matter how loving it was, which silently communicated a heavy pressure, a constant, unspoken demand that they must change and be different from who they currently are. And that pressure, even when born from deep love, always produces the exact opposite of what you desire. It builds walls of resistance, defensiveness, and a closing of the heart that blocks all real change. The deepest part of a soul always protects itself from pressure instead of opening to it. But when that heavy weight is lifted, when you stop trying to manage them and simply sit with them exactly as they are, something opens within their heart that your fighting never could have reached. I do not promise that letting go of this struggle will instantly force the change you have been praying for in their heart. Their choices and their freedom belong to them, and they will always remain theirs, no matter what you do. What I do promise is that releasing this fight will beautifully transform the space between you, and that new environment will finally create the room needed for the genuine healing you have always prayed for. The sacred space created by pure, pressure-free love allows them to hear gentle truths they were completely deaf to when anxiety and control ruled your relationship. It is a sanctuary where I can move and work freely, because my spirit moves most powerfully when the channel between me and my child is not blocked by your well-meaning but frantic efforts to push them where I am already leading them. There is also a word I must share about: forgiveness in your relationships. Because laying down your weapons often looks exactly like forgiving the very person you have been fighting so hard for or against. If the storm you cannot control is tied to a wound someone inflicted on you, something that broke you or stole from you without permission, then letting go means releasing your grip on the mental ledger of everything they owe you. Not because their actions were right, nor because your pain is fake, but because holding on to that ledger is just another way of fighting what you cannot control, and it is only generating the heavy costs I've been describing to you today. Handing that broken ledger over to me is not about pretending that the hurt was not real. It is transferring the debt from your hands into mine, where justice is perfect and complete, costing you absolutely nothing compared to the heavy toll you have been paying to hold it. I also want to tell you what your surrender communicates to those watching you. You are not alone, and your letting go is not just a quiet, private shift. It is a powerful witness. Those who know the battles you have fought, who saw the exhausting toll and the endless struggle through dry seasons of zero harvest, are now watching to see what happens when you stop fighting and start trusting me. And the peace they will see in you is one of the most undeniable testimonies on earth, because it is not built on your circumstances suddenly getting better. It is proof of a soul that has found a rock more solid than happy conditions. That quiet peace touches hearts that could never be reached by a loud miracle, but are deeply moved by the daily sight of my child genuinely at peace in a situation that remains unresolved. Type, "I commit everything I cannot control," in the comments. Let that be your spoken declaration over every single relationship, situation, person, and outcome that has been a battlefield for you. You are choosing to place them all directly into my hands, the hands most equipped to hold them. Now, let me speak directly to the specific lies that have kept this exhausting battle alive. I will address each lie with the truth that displaces it, because your fight is fueled by more than love and fear. It is fueled by false beliefs that I want to challenge, gently and honestly. Let my words land exactly where they are aimed, and let my truth sink deeper than your habit. Let my words displace the anxious whispers in those hidden places where your exhausting battle has been constantly fueled. To the belief that your fighting prevents the worst from happening, I say this: the worst is not held back by your fragile strength. It is held by my hand, or it unfolds in the freedom I gave to a broken world that I am redeeming. Your fighting does not stand between this storm and its worst version. My presence does. And my presence never depends on you continuing this weary fight. I am in this storm with you, whether you fight or not. Drop your hands. My presence remains. To the belief that surrendering means you do not love enough, I say this. Love that surrenders to me has finally found its highest, truest form. The love that trusts me with its most precious treasure has reached a depth that fighting love cannot yet know. Your fighting love is real, but surrendering love is far more mature. It is not less love to lay those you cherish at my feet, rather than exhausting yourself trying to be what only I can be. In fact, it is greater love. It is the love that values their peace above your own desire to feel like you are doing enough. To the belief that your situation is too far gone for surrender to matter, I say this. Absolutely nothing is too far gone for me. The crises that seem furthest from your hopes are never beyond my reach. You see, I specialize in the impossible. I am the Lord of the Red Sea, the empty tomb, and the dry bones made whole. The giant you fight, which resists your effort, cannot resist mine. What refused to budge under your heavy pressure will move under my sovereign touch. But my work requires the space your surrender creates. To the belief that letting go is passive when you should be fighting, I say that releasing control is the most active act of faith you can choose. Choosing to trust me instead of fighting is not passive. It is the active embracing of a higher way. The deliberate and painful turning away from the familiar toward the unknown. It is the continuous, daily discipline of placing whatever triggers your anxiety back into my hands, hour after hour. That is not weakness. That is faithfulness of the highest, most demanding kind. To the belief that because you held on for so long, letting go now would make all your past struggles meaningless. I say this. Your past struggle was simply the only way you knew how to love in that difficult season. It was not wasted, and it was never wrong. It bore fruit, carving out a deep understanding and a profound compassion within you that only this specific valley could have formed. Letting go today does not erase the strength it took to hold on. It is simply the next sacred step of the journey. I honor every single step of your faith, especially when you choose trust over a battle that cannot yield what only my peace can give. To the belief that I've ignored your tears and that trusting me further is a mistake, I tell you clearly, I have been answering. Maybe not in the way you expected, and certainly not on your timeline, but I heard every word, and I have never left your side. I've been working in secret ways that you cannot see from where you stand, shaping hidden dimensions of this storm that your eyes cannot see, working toward a beautiful outcome that only my perfect wisdom knows is best. Trust my unseen hand even when darkness surrounds you. Just because you cannot see me working does not mean I am silent. To the belief that stopping your struggle means accepting a future you dread, I say this. I do not ask you to accept that future. I only ask you to release the future into my hands. They are entirely different. You do not need to feel perfectly fine with every scenario just to lay down your heavy weapons. You only need to trust me with the final chapter instead of trying to write it yourself. And trusting me does not mean you must welcome every potential outcome. It is trusting my character as I hold the future, knowing I will bring ultimate good out of whatever comes. Type, Lord, I trust you with what I cannot change, in the comments today. Let those words stand as your holy declaration over the lies fueling this battle. Your active choice to let my truth drive out fear, trading the heavy thoughts that keep you fighting for the promises that set you free. As our time together here draws to a close, I do not want to simply repeat what I have already spoken, but to send you forward with my words, alive inside you, actively breathing and moving in your heart, doing exactly what I sent them to accomplish in those wounded spaces where your battle has raged. This is not an ending, it is a fresh beginning, the start of a beautiful, peaceful way of walking through the storms you cannot control. I want to send you into this new season with absolute clarity, carrying the immense weight of my eternal love not as a burden, but as the living support beneath your feet. You came to me fighting a heavy battle, something painful and far beyond your control that has slowly drained your joy, your peace, and your very life. As you prepare to leave this space, I want you to notice has something shifted in how you carry this heavy burden. I know the struggle is not fully over, because the deep habit of control does not vanish in a single moment, no matter how sincere. But has your grip loosened just a little? Have you shifted, even slightly, from a fighting stance into a posture of surrender to me? Perhaps trusting me with your battles feels closer, more real now than when you first began. If you feel even a flicker of this truth, something beautiful has shifted here. A real shift has begun. Keep holding on to it. Do not ignore it just because the work is unfinished. To begin letting go is to already be free. I want to give you a single anchor to hold on to when the struggle tries to pull you back in the coming days. When anxiety rushes in, when your grip tightens, and you find yourself struggling against the uncontrollable before you even realize it, return to this. I have it. 3 words that hold everything. I hold the person whose choices you cannot control. I hold the situation that has resisted your every effort. I hold the outcome you are fighting so hard to decide. I hold the future you fear. And I hold the past you cannot change. I hold all of it. Intimately, actively, with absolute power and boundless love. Because I have this, your struggle is no longer necessary. Nor is it the most faithful way to respond. I have it. And what I hold is kept completely, shaped with care, and guided toward what I have always intended. That is enough. Let it be enough. Let those 3 words be your anchor when the battle pulls you back into the strain. Let me speak now about the days that will be harder than today. Because there will be times when letting go feels entirely impossible. When circumstances press so heavily against your soul that the old struggle returns, fueled by all the fear that started it. When everything I'm telling you now feels distant, like mere theories that cannot stand against the crushing weight of your current moment. On those painful days, what you must do remains the same, only it will cost you more and matter even deeper. You bring that heavy burden to me. You name it honestly. You surrender it as best as you can in that moment, knowing that I receive even your partial surrender as a whole offering. I do not demand perfection before I welcome what you bring, and then you return to your anchor. I have it. No matter how weakly you cling to that truth in your hardship, you choose it over the struggle, and you return to me in the very next second, and the one after that. Do this as often as the temptation to fight pulls you back, until choosing trust over struggle becomes your second nature. I am so proud of you for receiving these words. I am deeply moved by the willingness you brought to my words, and the openness you kept through the heavy and honest spaces we walked through together. I am fully committed to every single step of your new journey. This journey, from the exhausted grip of a fighter to the open hands of my trusting child, away from straining against what you cannot move and into my arms, resting as I hold everything you cannot. This path is real, and it is open to you. And this journey is shaping something beautiful inside you with every single step, even the imperfect ones. Even when you stumble more than you walk, and even when you snatch back the struggle after taking just 3 steps. Every single step counts. Every time you choose trust over battle, it matters deeply. Every moment you let go, I honor, using it to build the new spirit emerging within you during this season. Walk forward from this moment with your hands open just a little wider. Go with the permission I have spoken, echoing deep in your soul. You do not have to fight this anymore. Move forward with my promise drowning out your anxiety. I have it. Step forward as one undergoing the most profound inner transformation a human heart can ever experience. Moving from the desperate need to control what you cannot, toward my perfect rest. Becoming the one who trusts me, the creator who holds all things. That change is happening inside you. This work started long before now, and will carry on, drawing you closer to the person I have always known you to be. A soul who rests in me, trusting me with the uncontrollable. Discovering that letting go of the struggle was not losing what you loved, but placing it with me, who can hold it far better than you ever could. You are not the fighter. You are my beloved, and my beloved never has to fight for what I already hold. Type. I stop fighting and start resting in my Father, in the comments as your final declaration. Let that statement go with you into your daily life. Choose rest over straining, trust over conflict, open hands over the exhausted grip. I have it. I have always had it. And I have you. If my words have guided you, strengthened you, and lit your path, then please like, subscribe, and share this message with others. Support this ministry through the link below, so my other children can receive these words at the perfect time.